As an active member of the community, I never expected that Karen will fake her chemo to steal money from donations. Here's how it all went down. Karen has been a familiar face in the neighborhood for as long as I can remember. Living just 2 houses down, our interactions were frequent, though mostly casual. We'd exchange pleasantries during my morning jogs, or sometimes have longer chats when I bumped into her at the local grocery store. She had this vibrant energy about her, always cheerful, always ready with a joke or a story. So imagine my surprise when on a rather ordinary day I was walking back from the store and I noticed a gathering outside Karen's house. It wasn't a party or a casual get-together. People looked concerned, some even teary-eyed. And then I saw it, a sign that read, "Help Karen Fight Cancer, Donations Welcome." It was like a punch in the gut. Here was cancer, this thing that had cast a shadow over my family, now affecting someone from my everyday life. It was a lot to process. After seeing that sign, I was at the local park a few days later, walking my dog, when I saw Karen. She looked different, more subdued, and she had a scarf covering her head. As I got closer, she greeted me, her voice softer than usual. "Hey," she said, trying to muster a smile. "I saw the sign outside your house," I started, searching for the right words. "I'm really sorry to hear about your diagnosis, Karen." She let out a long sigh. "It's been a rough ride. The treatments, the medical bills, it's all so overwhelming. That's why I approached the community's donation fund." I remembered the community fund we had set up for emergencies and those in need. "Of course," I replied. "We've already allocated some money from the donations to help you out. Just let me know if there's more I can do." She looked grateful. "Thank you. Spreading the word is a big help too. The more people who know, the better." True to her words, the community rallied behind her. Over the next few weeks, I saw firsthand how much our neighborhood cared. Garage sales popped up with signs saying, "Proceeds for Karen's treatment." The local school kids did a charity run, and there was even a mini concert one weekend. On top of that, a significant amount from the community donation fund was handed over to her. It was amazing to see everyone come together, all for Karen. A few weeks had passed since the community's efforts to help Karen. One evening, after grabbing a coffee from the local cafe, I decided to take the longer route home. As I was walking, I noticed Karen entering a store across the street. It was a wig store, which struck me as odd. I mean, she was wearing scarves because of the chemo, right? Without really thinking, I crossed the street and peeked through the store window. There she was, trying on various wigs, laughing as she switched from one style to another. She was having a good time, joking with the store owner, looking nothing like the frail woman from the park. A nagging feeling settled in. Something wasn't adding up. Why would she need wigs if she was losing her hair to chemo? And why did she seem so healthy? The next day, I made a call to the local hospital. I know a nurse there, Jessica, from my yoga class. It took a bit of gentle prodding, but eventually, she checked for me. And what she told me was shocking. There was no record, none at all, of Karen receiving chemo treatments. The pieces started to fall into place, and I realized something was seriously off. After uncovering the truth about Karen, I knew I had to share it with the others who had donated. We gathered at the community center, and I spilled everything. The room was buzzing with disbelief and anger. We decided to confront Karen, hoping for some clarity. But when we did, she was far from apologetic. "Oh, come on. Everyone exaggerates a little," she scoffed, rolling her eyes. When presented with the evidence, she just waved it off. "So I bent the truth a bit. Big deal." Her nonchalance only fueled the community's anger. "You think lying about cancer is just bending the truth?" one neighbor exclaimed. Karen, with a defiant tone, shot back, "Look, as far as I know, no one in this community has had cancer, so why not give the donations to someone who claims to have it?" The room was filled with gasps and murmurs. Her audacity was unbelievable. The last straw was when she tried to play the victim. "I can't believe you're all attacking me like this. After everything I've been through." The community have had enough. Legal action was discussed, and a group of neighbors took the initiative to file a fraud case against her. With the lawsuit looming and the entire neighborhood against her, Karen didn't stick around for long. She left in a huff, muttering about how ungrateful everyone was. The community was left to pick up the pieces, feeling both deceived and disappointed. In the aftermath of the Karen debacle, the community came together to ensure something like this wouldn't happen again. They set up stricter requirements and verification processes for anyone seeking aid from the community fund. It was a tough lesson learned, but it made the community more vigilant and united in their efforts to genuinely help those in need. Wow, this Karen story is absolutely insane. Can't believe someone would stoop so low to fake chemo and steal money from donations. It's just heartbreaking to think about all the people who donated in good faith. Kudos to the community for taking action and making sure this doesn't happen again. Stay vigilant, folks. I never could have imagined that my sister's destination wedding would become a high-stakes game of manipulation, financial strain, and emotional turmoil. As the pressure mounted, I faced a heartbreaking ultimatum that could cost me everything I had worked so hard for. Here's how it all went down. My younger sister has always had issues with entitlement, taking advantage of others, throwing fits, being verbally abusive, and being frugal. Not trying to make diagnoses, but she really does exhibit every characteristic of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. A few years ago, she announced her engagement to a nice guy who was easily influenced. He expressed not wanting to get married for a while, but she proposed to him, not that there is anything wrong with that, and kept pressuring him to get married. He comes from a wealthier family than us, and is good with money and investments. It's a perfect combination for her to exploit and have someone support her unrealistic expectations. He wanted a modest local wedding so friends and family could attend. My sister decided she wanted a destination wedding outside the country. At the time, my husband and I didn't have the best paying jobs. He was working on a second degree, and we had imminent goals of buying our first home together. We regretfully declined her invitation because the trip would cost us $3-4K, which we did not have. It would have to go on a credit card. When we told her we might not be able to make it, she immediately responded, "Oh, come on, it's my big day. My fiancé and I are willing to cover your expenses. We really want you there." I was taken aback. "Really? That's really generous of you. Are you sure?" She laughed. "Of course! It's a one-time thing, and besides, when have I ever offered to pay for anything?" We gratefully accepted, thinking that was the end of it. But a couple of months later, she called me up. "Hey, have you guys booked your flights and hotel yet? Prices are skyrocketing." I was confused. No, we thought you were handling it. Weren't you going to give us the details?" She sounded impatient. "You need to get on that. Time's ticking." I felt a knot in my stomach. "Wait, I thought you were covering our expenses?" There was a pause before she replied, "Look, we checked the prices and it's just too much. You'll have to figure it out." I was stunned. "But you offered. Our situation hasn't changed. We still can't afford it." She just sighed. "Well, you'll have to figure something out." We decided to focus on our priorities. Over the next few months, both my husband and I landed better jobs, and we even managed to buy our dream house. But my sister wouldn't let it go. She kept pestering us about the wedding. "Have you booked your tickets yet?" Exasperated, I finally told her, "No, and we won't be able to. With our new jobs, we can't take time off, and we've just taken on a mortgage. We can't afford the trip." It was a tough decision, but sometimes you have to put your foot down and prioritize your own needs. Despite all of that, every time we talked about her wedding, it was the same old, "just figure it out," and the guilt-tripping "if you really loved me" as speeches. It felt like she was living in her own world, completely detached from reality. One day, I just had enough. I snapped, "So, let me get this straight. You want my husband and me to risk our jobs, our new house, basically our entire future just to attend your wedding?" She was taken aback. "Well, when you put it like that, yeah, that's exactly how it is." I cut her off. "Do you even realize the kind of pressure you're putting on us?" She tried to deflect, but I could tell she didn't have a good answer. It's like she's in this bubble where everything revolves around her. She's always been like this, manipulating people to get her way, especially when it comes to money. I don't even remember the last time she held a steady job. And the worst part? She expects everyone to cater to her, but she won't lift a finger for anyone else. It's baffling, honestly. Our parents always taught us the value of hard work and being self-reliant. They always said, "Don't expect handouts. Work for what you want." I don't know how she turned out so differently. It's like we grew up in two completely different households. Honestly, the whole wedding situation was a mess. Neither our parents nor my husband and I could afford to attend her extravagant destination wedding. Now, her husband's family, they had the means and were actually excited about the whole thing. But get this, she didn't want them to come if our side of the family wasn't there. She said it would be weird to only have his family there and not mine. I mean, who does that? So she essentially created this massive financial barrier for attending her wedding, and then, when people couldn't scale it, she played the victim. She went around telling everyone how she had to elope because her family didn't care enough to be there. And then, to top it all off, she cut off contact with us. At first I was upset, but honestly, it's been such a relief. It's like this constant weight of dealing with her drama and manipulation has been lifted. After years of her toxic behavior and emotional abuse, having that distance has been a blessing in disguise. It's sad to say, but sometimes, you just have to let go of people, even if they're family. Weddings should be a celebration of love and commitment, but it's important to remember that extravagant doesn't always mean better. In these challenging economic times, it's crucial to be mindful of our financial limitations and not push ourselves beyond what we can afford. After all, the true value of a wedding lies in the love and joy shared between the couple and their loved ones, not in the grandeur of the event. I couldn't believe my eyes as I read the bill my friend handed me, listing every single expense from our week-long stay. It felt like a betrayal, a sudden twist in a friendship that I thought was solid. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a shocking revelation. Here's how it all went down. My husband and I got this invite from an old friend to hang out at her place for a week. We've known each other since the sandbox days. Over time, she moved countries, and while we didn't chat as often, the bond felt solid. My husband, having heard all the wild stories of our childhood antics, was eager to meet her. The highlight? She planned to throw a big birthday bash for him. We were all set for some quality time and a trip down memory lane. But plot twist. As we were wrapping up our visit, she handed us this super detailed bill. I mean, every little thing was on there. We were left scratching our heads. One moment, we're reminiscing and laughing, and the next, it felt like we were settling a hotel bill. It made us wonder, is this the new norm for visiting friends? It was a reality check, that's for sure. Sometimes, even long-time friendships can surprise you in the oddest ways. I was genuinely taken aback. Our stay at her place had been filled with movie marathons and delicious meals, making for some memorable moments. Yet, after a week of what felt like pure fun, she handed me that unexpected piece of paper. "Hey, before you guys head out tomorrow, I just wanted to give you this," she said, handing me a folded piece of paper. I opened it, expecting maybe a sweet note or a list of places we could visit next time. Instead, I was met with a detailed breakdown of expenses. I looked up at her, trying to gauge if this was some kind of joke. "Is this a bill?" I asked, my voice shaky. She nodded. "Yeah, just thought it'd be easier this way." I was taken aback. We've been friends since we were kids, running around in our backyards, dreaming of the future. Now, decades later, we had drifted apart due to distance, but the bond was still there. Or so I thought. She had been the one to invite us over, even suggesting they'd host a birthday bash for my husband. I was touched by the gesture and looked forward to the trip, but this was unexpected. I mean, I was planning to chip in for the hotel room and stuff, I stammered, but this is detailed. She shrugged. Just thought it'd be fair. I scanned the list again. There were charges for meals, transportation, even the tiny souvenirs we'd picked up at a local market. Everything was split down the middle, right to the last cent. I took a deep breath, trying to process it all. I never expected this from you, I admitted. She looked a bit uncomfortable. "I just thought it'd be easier this way," I nodded slowly. "All right then." So there I was, holding a piece of paper that felt heavier than it looked. My best friend had handed me an itemized bill for our week-long stay, and I was trying to make sense of it all. $152.10 for the hotel room, I mumbled, reading aloud. "Okay, I can understand that." My husband leaned over, scanning the list with me. "Gas for $105? Seriously?" I nodded, equally baffled. "And $1.90 for the birthday food. I mean, I get it, but if you offer to throw a party, isn't it a bit off to ask the birthday person to pay for half?" He raised an eyebrow. "And $136.20 for the car rental? I mean, sure, but," I continued. "And then there's $1.21 for gas, $6.50 for parking, and $1.27 for airport parking. It's like they've accounted for every single penny," he sighed. "The total comes up to $537.80. That's specific." I felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, I wanted to be understanding. Maybe they were going through a tough time financially. But on the other hand, the meticulous breakdown, especially the $6.50 for parking, felt a tad petty. "They invited us," I said, trying to wrap my head around it. "And the whole time they were, what, keeping tabs on every expense?" He nodded. "Seems like it. Remember when they stayed with us? We didn't hand them a bill for groceries or gas." I sighed. "Exactly. When you invite someone over, it's out of hospitality, not to split every single cost." We hesitated for a moment, but after a few days we decided to pay the bill. It was an awkward transaction, one that put a price on memories we thought were priceless. As we left, we silently agreed on one thing. While we cherished the good times, we wouldn't be staying at their place again. Some lessons come with a price tag, and this was one of them. Well, it's disappointing to realize that she is not a real friend. It would have been nice if she had given you a heads up about her expectations before your visit. Communication is key in any friendship, and this experience serves as a reminder of the importance of open and honest conversations. I never expected my long-lost biological mother to resurface after 25 years of absence. But when she finally reached out, I had no idea the twisted game she was playing. Little did I know, her sudden appearance was just the beginning of a manipulative plot that would leave me questioning everything. Here's how it all went down. My parents had me at 16. They were both in high school. After I was born, my father dropped out to work full-time and take care of me, so my biological mother could stay in school. Eventually, after finishing high school, she realized that motherhood wasn't for her and left my dad and me. I was 2, so I don't really remember her being around. After that, my father worked 3 times as hard to provide for me. He also met a nice woman whom he later married when I was 7. I consider her my mom. I'll call her my stepmother to avoid confusion. My biological mother didn't contribute in any way, not even financially. In fact, the last time she contacted me before now was on my 3rd birthday, which was just a quick happy birthday birthday card through the mail. I remember the day she reached out on social media. It was so unexpected. "Hey, it's been a long time. Can we talk?" her message read. I was taken aback. My family had always been there for me, filling the void she left behind. Dad, Mom, and my brother never let me feel her absence. They never spoke ill of her, and honestly, I didn't dwell on her absence much either. So, after days of contemplation, I replied, "Sure, let's meet." We decided on a restaurant, and seeing her after 25 years was surreal. The initial conversation was filled with awkward silences and mundane topics. "The weather's been nice lately," she remarked. I nodded. "Yeah, it's been pleasant." But soon the real conversation began. Tears welled up in her eyes as she said, "I need you to know I didn't leave because of you." She spoke of her battle with postpartum depression, how she felt trapped in a never-ending cycle. I remembered my stepmother's struggle after my brother was born, and I could empathize. We met a few more times, and she introduced me to her new family. 3 kids, all lively and full of energy. But the last time we met, something was off. She looked worn out, her eyes heavy with worry. "Is everything okay?" I asked, concerned. She hesitated, then said, "My eldest, she's not well. The medical bills, they're piling up." She took a deep breath. "I need $45,000 for her treatment and the bills. Can you help?" I was taken aback. It was a lot to process. The past, the present, and now this request. It was a crossroads of emotions and decisions. For context, after graduating and receiving my postgraduate diploma, I landed my dream job that earned a good sum of money. I'm certain she may have heard about where my job was from somewhere, and saw it as an opportunity. She gave me time to think about it. It didn't take long for me to say no to it. I felt used and exploited. She never wanted to meet me. She just wanted money from the child she left to help the other child that she loves. After giving her my response, which wasn't much, just a simple, "No, I don't feel comfortable with that," through text, I was soon bombarded with text messages from her husband telling me what a nasty piece of work I was, followed by more texts from my biological mother about how I'm so cruel for not helping out my sister due to my grudge against her. And then, to top it all off, I was getting some messages from family members from her side of the family, questioning why I'm being so difficult. So, am I really terrible for not paying for my half-sister's medication and medical bills? I've learned more about what was happening in my biological mom's family. First of all, I questioned why she had 3 more children despite her postpartum depression. It turns out that she and her husband found out early on about the severity of their first daughter's illness. They had 2 additional children, 11-year-old male and 7-year-old female, as savior siblings for their oldest daughter's medical treatment. Neither of them were matches. I've currently blocked her and her husband. I didn't go into this expecting to reconnect with my biological mom. That wasn't the plan. I already have a mom and I didn't need another one. I just wanted to give her a chance to explain herself. I never wanted a mother-daughter bond just to be cordial or friendly. My family supported me in meeting my biological parent, and I didn't blindside them. I'm happy with my own family and don't need her to complete it. It's not her leaving that bothers me, it's her current actions. But even through all of that, I will sympathize with her only on the basis that she suffered with postpartum depression. When my biological mom left, my grandparents and biological aunt stood by my dad. They raised me alongside my parents. They say she's always been mentally unstable and manipulative. I feel bad for my half-sister, but I can't give her the money. Sometimes I wish I had ignored my biological mom from the beginning. I'm glad she showed what she really wanted early on so I could cut her off quickly. Also, I blocked the strangers calling my phone a while back, just forgot to add that in. It's interesting how the mother only showed up when she needed something. She was definitely playing a calculated game, making sure the individual met the rest of the family before asking for money, and waiting for weeks to bring it up. Thankfully, the narrator saw through the manipulation and had a loving family to show her what real family is about. They didn't fall for the illusion of love from a mother who was never really there. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now or you're definitely the jerk.